chins up, please.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of And That's That on That.
Hey.
That was so good.
That was gorgeous. We're back in your ears.
We're back.
For another episode.
Yet another. You guys probably thought we weren't going to follow through with our commitments.
Prepare to be sick of us.
And look at where we are.
And look at what haters are our motivators.
Haters are going to hate.
Haters are going to say this is AI.
Haters are going to say not everyone should have a podcast, and I disagree.
Haters are going to say make podcast equipment more expensive. We got it when it was cheap, okay?
Well, my credit says otherwise.
Oh my God, we have to tell that story.
You guys, have we never talked about that?
No, I don't think you've ever said it.
Okay, well, I own it now. But back in the day, in 2022, when I was freshly diagnosed with a mood disorder that we won't name, I was going through a few manic phases, right?
That we didn't know were manic phases
no, we did
at
not
the time.
know that's what that was. I just thought I was like really happy.
You're like, wait, I never was depressed, actually.
I don't need a medication. What are you guys talking about?
Right.
Anyways, so like what should have been a telltale sign was that my spending was crazy.
No,
crazy.
It was through the roof.
I was spending money like I had it. Especially back then, I had no business doing that. And
you opened a Guitar Center credit card.
I opened up a Guitar Center credit card with a credit limit of $2,000. And this was around the time where we were still recording at our studio in Silver Lake and West Adams. And I was like, do you know what? We could save so much money. I think the saving money part would be to have stayed doing that at the studios.
And we know that now.
We know that now. Because
you maxed out that Guitar Center credit card.
Within 24 hours.
No, you literally sent me a screenshot of everything you ordered and you were like, it's going to be worth it. I'm going to pay it off. And you were like, no, this will pay off in the long run. Lights. Microphones, cameras, action, bus, another club. Like there were so many things. And I'm just sitting there at work, like eyes wide open, like, oh, okay.
I mean, you benefited from it. So
I did. No, I did. And I was like, am I going to get a bill for this?
No, it all came to a head about a couple of months later when I realized what was happening.
Right.
And that was around the time that I was up for 4 days. And then
that was the time. I got a photo from you at like 6 a.m. You were in your car and it was a selfie of you and you're like this. Your eyes are so wide and you're like, hey, I haven't slept in 4 days. And
Literally.
I'm like, that I don't think is normal. And you're like, I'm going to go to the doctor.
It was not. It wasn't.
I was like, this man is maxing out Guitar Center credit cards and not sleeping for days.
The signs were there. The signs were there.
Signs.
There were signs.
You were not moving in silence.
No, it was loud.
We can laugh now.
Mental health is a very serious subject, of course, but like when you personally have gone through it, like you have to laugh.
You have to laugh. Looking back now, we're just like, I'm cackling because that was unbelievable.
It's unreal. The amount of phases that we've been in is truly just incredible. For
someone to doubt mental health and mental illness, like they haven't seen you open. They haven't seen you in a Guitar Center.
Spend a few days with me in 2022, and that will change your mind.
Oh my God, we don't speak of 2022.
No,
that was gnarly.
We've grown. we've
I'm
grown.
so
and
glad
we've
you're
learned.
feeling better.
No, I feel
Medication is great.
Yeah. No, I feel great.
Oh, that was
and
so
not
funny.
because I'm manic, because I am genuinely stable for the most part.
And let's celebrate that.
As everything is in balance, my mental health is great. Physical health, not so much. When my physical health is good, I'm not sure where I'll be mentally, but I'll let you know.
It's like one of those things, when they say you can't have all three.
Yeah.
It's like that. The ebbs come with the flows. And whenever
Always.
there's an ebb, there will be a flow.
I literally just said this the other day. I was like, you are never going to have all of the things in life at the same time.
Never.
Like in perfect alignment.
Never.
Just like how the planets will never align. Well, they will, but like once every like 700 trillion years or something.
Totally. Right.
So, actually, no.
Oh,
wait. I'll research that.
Do the
but
planets
I'm pretty
ever
sure,
align?
I'm pretty sure that because this was the night I was texting you and I went down a rabbit hole.
Oh my
when
God,
I was reading
yes.
about emission nebulas.
Oh my
And
God.
that was that night. And so I read about, and if you don't know what an emission nebula is, you really don't need to know about it. It's just something that I thought was cool. I could not even tell you what it is. I forgot already. But
Your boyfriend has made you a science nerd.
no, literally, I'm a science major now. So I was reading, and the planets, it's not possible for them to all align at once.
Oh.
Tony? I have to ask him. Tony, can you come here for a second?
Tony Tor, we need your expertise, mate.
Is it possible for all of the planets to align at one time?
What?
I don't think that's correct. Because I read it on Google.
Chat said otherwise.
Because I was really curious about that. If like every single planet aligned at the same time, like aligned perfectly at the same time. But Google was saying something about how like they're all on different axes and different orbits and whatnot. See?
Right.
And so that it's not possible. I'm just gonna look it up again. I'm sorry. This needs to be solved really quick.
Chat GPT break.
Well, like one planet, instead of spinning this way,
Tony,
spins
guest
this way.
feature.
Around the sun.
Retrograding?
So,
Hold on.
So a retrograde isn't actually the planet moving backwards. It just appears to be moving backwards, allegedly.
That
So
makes sense. Okay. Can all planets align at the same time? No. All the planets
Ooh.
cannot align in a perfect straight line because their orbits are on different planes and are not perfectly aligned with each other. However, planets can appear to group together in the sky in a multi-planet alignment, such as a 7-planet parade. That's fun. Is a
the
rare
parade.
but possible event that can be stunning for stargazers.
Stargazers, they're just like us.
So you were wrong.
The science teacher is wrong.
So anyways, okay, you can go now.
Thank you, Tony. Love
Wait.
you.
You kiss.
Oh my God. Look at the lovebirds. Where's my kiss? Give me one.
Okay. Anyways,
Sick.
I just had to show the viewers that I'm still gay.
You
But
see that?
gay? Yeah, even beyond Pride Month. So, anyways,
Representation, mama.
after that's that rabbit hole. What were we even talking about?
I don't know. Mania,
Right.
nebulas. Your guess is as good as mine.
Okay. Anyways, so we're going to kick off the episode with our honorable mentions.
Ooh, I love an
then
honorable
we
mention.
are going to welcome our guest for today's episode. He has been a friend of mine. He was my boss at some point and still kind of is in some ways because I still do work for him every now and then. He can't completely get rid of me, and I understand.
Who would want to, you know?
Right. Well, some people. His name is Jared Kaner, and he is a music industry professional. He is an A&R. He's an artist manager, songwriter manager, producer manager. Music manager was probably a better term.
He does music.
He does music, and he does a lot of it. And we talked to him about, just kind of talks a lot about the behind the scenes of music.
There's probably a lot of songs that he's been behind that everyone knows.
He's worked with so many people. I was doing some research before. I mean, I know a lot about what he's done because I worked for him, but I was like, I want to see the full list. And I was like, wait, that's crazy. But like Alan Walker, David Guetta, Galantis, Jonas Blue, Leon, who
Cheat
I would
Codes.
love to have on the pod.
Oh my God, yes.
Nessa
Manifest
Barrett,
it.
Rehab, so many people. He is just such a hard worker and such a shark in the industry, and you would be lucky to be represented by him.
So true.
So we were very happy to have him on the show. We talked a lot, and probably one of our longest episodes so far this season, minus with Gatlin. It was like same vibe, like we just didn't want to stop talking, and I love that.
And we love that. That's what it's all about.
If you have the time to just sit back and chill and listen, you're going to love it. Otherwise, you can separate it into 2 parts, and that's cool too.
And that's what's cool about the grind.
That's what's cool about Spotify podcasts or Apple podcasts. You can
That's
pause
what's cool
them.
about the fast forward button.
Literally.
The 10-second skip.
What's honorable for you this week, Haley?
Okay, so my honorable mention is the fact that my niece turned 1 year old.
Happy birthday, Haley's niece.
I know, Haley's niece, Gia Chapman, my queen. But what's more important is that I have held the title for Hot Fun Aunt for a whole year now.
Congratulations.
Insert clap track here. I have officially held that title for a full year. And if there's anything that I can do well, it's make something about me. So I would like to take this moment, like, congrats to my niece for living for a whole year. Like, I can't wait to see the rest of your life. But like, also congrats to me for holding that title for a full year. It's a role I take seriously. I take it very seriously. One day I'm going to like have a sleepover with her. I'll be the fun, cool aunt. And she's going to be obsessed with me. And I'm so excited. But that's
I can't
also
wait to
like,
be an uncle.
Oh my God, it's the best. It's literally the best. They're so cute. Like, I never liked kids. I was not a fan of kids. I was like, you know what? Babies are not cute. They're just not cute. And then Gia came along.
Such a hater.
So, no, like, I just was like, that's insane.
No, but same.
That's an alien. And then I saw Gia and I was like,
yeah.
Yeah, no, she's perfect. Like, every little moment about her is perfect.
Well, and it's like also different when it's your like brother's daughter, or like, yeah, for me, like when my sister has kids or my brother has kids, that'll be the test if I want kids, I think.
Literally, that's what made me be like, okay, yeah, I definitely want to be a mom. Like, my phone screen background is her. Like, I show every photo. Like, I'm like, new Gia picture dropped. Like, everyone needs to see it. And I make her into stickers on my phone. Like, I'm obsessed with her. But now when other people have kids, I'm like so happy for them because I know how it feels like just to have a cute little bundle of joy in your life.
That's sweet.
But yeah, 1 full year with her, 1 full year. I'm only 1 year into my aunt journey, so everyone fucking watch out. I don't know what's next. Buckle up, watch out. It's been 1 year, and I'm coming for the throne.
And we'll check in again this time next year.
Yeah, next year.
See how it is.
You know what? I'm going to come back to this next year and see what has changed.
Yeah, for sure.
We should do a New Year's episode where we talk about, like, where we talk to our future self. Instead of reviewing the last year, we could talk to our future self so that we come back to it a year later and we see what they had to say.
In public? That's scary. I don't know about that.
Imagine we go back to it and we're like, none of that happened.
Well, that probably would maybe be funny. And also, there is no better way to hold someone accountable than by plastering them all over podcast streaming platforms.
No, we could just, you and I, we just say like, hey, 2027, Gavyn and Haley, I think that you'll be blah, blah, blah. And then we're sitting here in a year and we're like, the fuck were they saying? That's crazy.
Wait, I'm actually so down. That would be
right?
hilarious.
And then we'll flash forward to us and be like,
hey, maybe they will happen. Maybe it will happen. Maybe that's a form of manifestation.
I think it is. But you know those TikToks where it's like if January 2024 me could talk to January 2025 me or whatever, and they'd be like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
So maybe something to think about. We could do that.
Something to think about.
Coming up on the
sure.
holidays in a few months, like we can think about it.
Yeah.
I think that'd be funny. Anyway.
Okay, so my honorable mention. So I have two, but like the second one's just like kind of, it's more of an honorable, like funny, silly. Anyways, so something that's been really irking me lately that I need to speak up on is...
Speak on it.
Where we're at with M dashes. If you don't know what an M dash is, it's an elongated hyphen. It is.
I hate the word elongated. I hate that.
It's a bigger hyphen. I don't know. That
coming from Merriam-Webster. That's crazy.
Okay, so yeah, ChatGPT has ruined it for everyone because
she has.
Before ChatGPT even existed, I was a big fan of M dashes in emails, in like, I don't know, just to make things like, I'm a very creative typer.
Totally.
So now I can't use them because people are going to assume that I'm using ChatGPT. Now, most of the time, that's probably true. But
but on the times that it's not.
Exactly.
On the off chance.
Basically, all I want to say is I think that Chat needs to reevaluate their usage of M dashes. But I think the damage is already done.
I think so too, because I've seen all those. God, if I talk about TikTok one more time, but I've seen all the TikToks where people will post like text messages of like, I don't know. I'm on like breakup TikTok or something. I don't know. But like guys breaking up with you. And it's like there's M dashes in there everywhere.
That was copy and
they're
pasted.
Like, copy and paste. And there's some that they forget to remove the, do you want to change this into a different tone? Or like, do you want this more fun or flirty? There are legit ones like that. And I'm like,
no way.
At least I got dumped over text before ChatGPT was the thing, so I know it was real.
At least you have
I know
that.
he meant what he said.
At least you have that. I also just quickly want to express gratitude for not being raptured.
Oh.
So we're still here. I don't know what that says about us, but
we were not taken with the rapture.
We were not taken. So that's really good news. If you were and you're listening to it up there,
sayonara.
Hey.
So that's unfortunate for everyone involved.
What was that about?
I don't know.
I feel like I saw that the day before said rapture and then everyone was freaking out. But
everyone was talking about rapture talk and I did not end up on that side.
I didn't either. I just saw a post on Instagram and someone was like, tomorrow's the rapture, whatever. But like, if you actually read the Bible, it says that not anyone, not even the angels in heaven, would know when Jesus is coming back.
So is that what a rapture is, when Jesus comes back?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, that used to be my childhood fear because I was a Christian at some point in my life and I was scared of that always. Like my dad would always talk about that. Like, anyways.
When you were a worship leader?
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, we've lived
scarves.
So many lives. Yeah, infinity scarves and flannels.
Jana Elira blasting in the background.
Chris Tomlin. Phil Wickham. Anyways.
Wait, what's that? Oh my God, TikTok sound? Vine sound when it's like, I want a good Christian girl that goes to church and reads a Bible.
Oh, what is it? I want a church girl who go to church. And read your Bible.
That would do numbers on Vine.
It would. Well, it did. It did. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to our little intro. I hope you enjoy this interview with Jared. It's a longer episode, but you know what?
Clean your
That's okay.
house. Listen
Yeah.
while you're doing other things.
That's my
we
favorite
don't
thing
mind.
to do when I clean is listen to a podcast.
Me
So,
too. And there are some funny pits, peeks into it over it. You're going to want to hear this.
You are going to want to hear it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, take it away, Jared.
Later. Welcome, Jared. How you doing? Thanks for doing this.
Thank you for having me. Awesome to be here. Like I told Gavyn when we were off, I've been chasing this for months, so I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
Literally. He is me in other artists' DMs trying to get them on the show, and I love it. I love the persistence.
I'm always up in the DMs.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I love it. Jared and I have known each other for quite some time. I started working for him doing a plethora of different things for his company, The Arena Music, back in, what was it, 2022? End of 2021?
Sounds right.
Something like that. It's
Mhm.
been a minute. And I've gotten to basically see how everything works behind the scenes and kind of dip my toe into the artist management world, which was really exciting for me. And I really enjoyed it. So I just thought, it would be perfect to have Jared on to talk about everything music. And if anyone knows the way the music world works and the music game, is Jared. And so, yeah, we're very stoked to have you on. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Okay, so we're going to go into Pit and Peak, the segment that we do every single week. Talk about our pit and talk about our peak. It's super self-explanatory, but I'm going to
We make it simple around here.
Yeah, everything is very straightforward. I will start with my pit. We always start with pits so that we can end on a high note.
Of course.
The pit of my week is my upstairs neighbor is the loudest person
We've heard about
on
them
planet
before.
Earth, and it's like my Swiffer is out right now because I've been like literally pounding on the ceiling. It's 6 a.m. It's like someone's moving furniture. Mind you, she hates me. She hates me because I've told her, like,
you
hey,
advocate for yourself.
I advocated for myself. I went up there, I was like, hey, I work from home. And like, if there's any way that you don't need to vacuum every square inch of your apartment at noon, that would be amazing. And she was like, oh my God, no worries. Sorry. Like, I'll keep it outside the 9 to 5. I was like, love you. Thank you.
Yes.
And then the next day, what happened at noon? It was even louder.
No way.
So then now she ignores me when we're walking. She hates me. She
No
hates
way.
me. Like, I'll walk by, she's talking to everyone else. Oh my God, how are you? Whatever. And then I walk by and she's like,
Just gives you one of those. Oh my God, that is so awkward.
Crazy.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
you're having to
no.
go
It's
through
so
that.
awkward.
That is such a pain in the ass. And that's like such an uncomfortable feeling.
It's so uncomfortable. And there's nothing I can do, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just used to it at this point. She's lived here for like 20 years. And I'm like, no matter what I say, she's going to be like, shut up. Like, yeah,
Got
right.
The joys of apartment living, right?
I know.
Apartment myself, so I understand.
God, I can't wait to get in a house one day and not have someone above me. I should have gotten the top floor, but we were
honestly,
in a pinch.
you can still, I live on the top floor and I can still hear my neighbors on both sides of me. So it's like, you can't escape it when
I
you.
can't.
By the way, me 3, specifically in my case, I'm on the second floor of just a 2-story building and I hear the guy below me. He is so I'm saying this like he is so fucking loud. Like, it is just, it's unbelievable. So
it is. That's it. Her full-time job is just being loud and it's crazy. But that was the pit of my week, but we'll survive.
I live that all the time. So I understand too.
I'm so over it, you guys. Someone buy me a house. I'm over this.
Yes.
Do you have a pit or a peak this week, Jared?
I would say, let's start with peak. I had a really good meeting today. Today.
Love.
With a potential new client. I can say new client. And I hadn't had that feeling, it's almost like, first of all, I've had the same 4 clients for, somewhere in the span. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty much, Gavyn, since you left, it's really kind of the same. I've flirted with a couple of other people here and there, but literally just this week, I'm probably going to sign two new people.
Really?
Good for you.
Thank you. Yeah. At least it's, seems that way. One of whom I would say we like, for all intents and purposes, officially onboarded. And him and I just had like a really good meeting today. And that was like the last time when I met with Fatkin, for example, and we had our meeting and we started working together, we also clicked. And I hadn't had that moment in a couple of years. So it was good to have that again. So that was the peak, I would say, so far in my week.
Love it.
That's really nice.
Probably has more to do with just some personal family stuff. I have a grandmother who's 103 and
Oh, wow.
not doing super well. But 103 is an amazing life. So
Definitely.
Yeah, totally.
one of those things. And, she's having some rough days. So I'd say that's the pit for sure. Not to get too personal, but like, for being super honest here about our pit and our peak,
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what it's here for.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We got to air it all out.
Got to air it out.
Okay, my pit and peak, it's a twofer this week.
Okay.
Literally. It's so I had to wear a retainer all
I remember
week.
this.
I don't have it in right now because like I can't even really speak with it in.
Yeah.
And it's not like a typical retainer that like you get after you have your braces off. It's like there's a thing that sticks out of your mouth.
No, it's crazy.
It's wild. And I had to wear it 24/7 because I'm getting the peak of it is I'm getting my teeth fixed. I have some like basically if kidney failure wasn't enough, I had to also be handed acid reflux, which I've had forever. So it's not a big deal. But apparently it has like just completely deteriorated my teeth.
Oh.
You can't tell too much from the outside, but when you look close, there's like holes in them. It's like, it's not good. So I am getting a new set of teeth.
A whole new set?
A whole new set, 12 of them.
So they're pulling 12 teeth?
Not pulling it. They're just like, I think it's called cosmetic bonding.
Oh,
so
okay.
they're just like...
They're adding to your existing teeth. So you're not getting totally new.
No,
okay.
but I think eventually I will have to get like actual veneers, unfortunately.
Right.
At this moment, that is not in my budget. So
Right.
I was quoted like $2,300 per tooth. So that's not happening.
That's
crazy.
Wild, dude.
Yeah.
Well, get some dental insurance maybe. I don't know if they'll cover that, but
yeah. So they don't, but no, actually I was talking to my dentist about this and he was like, so yes, they do cover it, but they cover one tooth per year. I was like, okay, so I'm going to be done in 12 years is what you're saying?
That's ridiculous. What?
So he was like, we can just add like a couple here and there to like make it more affordable. And I'm like, even if I added 2, that's like a lot still.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I'm excited about it. It's going to make me feel a little bit better about myself. And yeah, grateful
And we
for
love
it.
that. We love that.
But what is your peak, Haley, to wrap it up?
Oh, okay. So I have my like list going. I teach Legree Pilates.
Yeah, you have to go to her class.
I would
Oh
love to.
yes, you need to. It's in Santa Monica, and I teach like 7 classes a week regularly, and I have like my regular people, but sometimes I have new people, and I had 3 people in one day come up after and ask me for my playlist because they loved my music so much. And when I tell you that is that's the best compliment ever. They'll come up and they're like sweaty and dying and they're like, "Can I take a picture of your playlist?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely, you can." I know, it feels so good. It's like half the reason I did it was to like be a DJ for an hour, and it worked. Everyone loves it. And I'm like, yes. And half the time people come back because they're like, you play the bangers. And I love that.
If that's what keeps them coming back, then period.
Keep coming back. It's new bangers every week.
That's awesome. I 100% will take your class.
Yes,
Yeah,
you should.
you
It's
should.
all EDM music, by the way. So
That's my world. So
I know.
I hope I'm like, I placed that song. I placed that song.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
No, you probably did, though, honestly.
Half of them you probably are like, oh, that happened because of me. So
Yeah. Legree's tough. I've done there. I go to here in West Hollywood. There's Legree Underground, and so I've been there a number of times, and it's fucking hard.
It's so hard.
Yeah,
it is so hard.
I wouldn't even dare to try.
It's
But-
so hard, but it's so good.
You
at
feel
the
so
same
good after, though.
time. You feel so good after. It's torture, but it's good.
Yeah.
So another segment that we will do is called Into It and Over It. Again, very straightforward. What are we into and what are we over this week? Jared, why don't you kick it off?
Sure. Over it, Labubus. I'm sorry.
So true.
That's a
I don't
good
understand the
one.
Labubu.
Who
Yeah.
is Labubu, honestly?
I don't know the story behind him. People love him. They'll bring him with them to the bar or wherever they're going.
That's crazy.
No, I'm so glad you mentioned that because I'm like, wait, are we over it yet? Or like, is this still very much a thing?
We need to be over it.
Yeah.
It's time. We're done with
I
that.
think it's time.
I love that one.
It's like the
That's
Beanie Babies.
really-
Like if you remember the Beanie Babies from back in the day. I guess
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Same
no,
idea.
exactly.
Oh my God, I loved Beanie Babies.
Yeah.
Incredible. Love
Wow,
it.
that
And
was
what
a
are you
really good
into?
one.
Into you did tell me we were going to do this question, and I don't.
That's
okay.
okay.
I
It
don't
can be
have an
tough.
immediate answer for into. I love that I lead with what I'm not into, but what I'm into.
That's
Um,
okay.
I'm just going to go with something that's just been like recent in my life where I'm into not working at home, and
Ooh.
Yes.
I find myself having a really hard time focusing when I'm trying to work at home because
Totally.
I'm finding every speck of dust on the floor. I'm
Oh,
I have
yeah.
No,
to clean this, I have
exactly.
to clean that. And so I'm like, if I go home, especially if I didn't sleep super well, like if I'm home at like, if it's like 3:00, I might take like a 20-minute nap. I'm
Oh yeah.
gonna out of it. I'm not going to like, I'm sorry. Sometimes I'm a napper.
We love a nap.
Took one today.
Yeah, there you go. But like if I go home, I'm very vulnerable to that, and then
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and then like nothing's getting done. So I'm
Yeah.
very into not working at home.
I love
Love
that.
that. I'll wake up early and clean. I'll make sure
Yeah.
I can't work if things aren't in their place. So
Yeah.
I'll make sure like when I wake up, have my coffee, make my bed, make sure the couch in the living room is tidy, and then I can start.
Then you can work. Yep. If I work from home, that would be a non-negotiable too.
Yep. 100%.
Speaking of like being untidy, I'm gonna get into my into it real quick. I don't know
Yeah.
if you know this about me, Jared, but I am a cereal spiller. Like
Really?
I cannot eat without spilling something, and I don't know if that's just like
It's every time.
my coordination or what it is.
You know what's funny? I when I first met you, I'm like, oh, he's a spiller. I just had this
Really?
feeling.
Do I give spiller?
He gives spiller. He spills milk. He spills.
Did I really? Wait,
I
I'm
don't know.
embarrassed.
No,
No, because like I know we've had coffee meetings and stuff. I'm like, I fully could have spilled at
I'm like, yep.
that meeting.
before you even spilled, I knew you were a spiller. No.
It's written all over my face. Anyways, so what I'm really into lately, because this happened. This happened like on my birthday when I was in Orange County and
Oh,
Haley was
yeah.
here. I had just gone shopping and got like a few new t-shirts because like I don't have a lot of t-shirts. And so I was like, I'm going to get some t-shirts for myself for my birthday. First t-shirt I put on spilled immediately and washed
This is
it,
true.
like threw it in the wash immediately, and then put on another shirt a couple hours later, spilled. That day it was especially bad. I don't know what
Yeah.
was going on.
No,
I
it
was
was
sober
rough.
too. I don't even know what
Sure.
was happening. But yeah, so I would like to say that I'm really into wearing bibs.
So
Do you actually
Just-
have a bib?
Well, like napkin bibs,
Okay.
you know? I'm not going to get like an actual bib, but if that's something someone wants to gift me, I'm all for it.
I actually wish this was more of a thing for more people because then
Yeah.
you'd have like Gucci bibs or something, or like it's like
I'm saying.
Ooh.
maybe
We're gonna
bibs-
start a
maybe
trend.
Bibs could be the new Labubu.
Labubu's
So
out,
true.
bibs
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, Labib bib.
Yes,
And it
yes,
can be a
yes,
bib
yes.
with your favorite Labubu on it.
That's
Imagine showing up to a dinner and you
Labubu
pull
bib.
it.
the Labubu bib collab
Yeah.
would go crazy. Yeah.
You just
Bib.
show up to a dinner, pull it out, and you got like right before the food gets there, you just put on
Yep.
a bib, and everyone's just
I
like,
just thought of the next $1 million idea, you guys.
Hey,
honestly,
I'm just saying, like, it's very helpful. I'm saving much money on dry cleaning and yeah,
Laundry
it's
detergent.
mhm,
Right.
it's a thing. But anyways, over it. I don't want to go too much into a tangent, but I feel like Jared, you will agree with this because like we see things similarly in terms of this specific topic. But influencers, right?
Mm.
Most of them I don't mind. Like there's a good amount that I'm like, you're cool, whatever, like cool content, what have you. There are some that are, and I mean no offense, but it's just,
But offense.
but maybe some offense as well,
Sure.
that are just so out of touch. And can I
Yeah.
say insufferable? That might
Totally.
be pushing it.
Some of them
I'm
are.
not trying to be mean. It's just, okay, I think I was triggered this morning because the first thing I saw when I like was going on my phone in the morning, which I probably should not do when I first wake up. But there was this girl, and I'm not going to name names, but she was talking about how there's this thing going around on TikTok about how Mountain View spring water has carcinogens in it or something, which like obviously bad, like not good if that's true. However, it wasn't that. It was that she just kept talking about like, she's like, I pay $600 a month for mountain
water
spring
to be
water
delivered.
delivery, and like I can only drink this water. And then she was like, I heard that Icelandic water is really good, but they only come in the bottle and they won't do it by the gallon. And I'm like, girl,
Like there are people dying. Like, can we not?
I would love to know your thoughts on that, Jared.
On the water or on the influencer thing?
No, just the influencer. I understand the water, but like $600 a month is
It's
crazy. But
insane.
carcinogens is bad, obviously.
Well,
Not
I
saying
think
it's not.
I think you just get a good filter because that's just ridiculous. You can get a good underneath the sink filter, for example.
Yeah.
You can get a reverse
Literally.
osmosis machine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my mom just got one.
Yeah, there you go. And then when the fires hit, there's this app called Oasis, and
Yeah.
I looked up all of the sort of the best filters, and so I bought one of the better ones that were like kind of affordable. And so I think to spend $600 a month on mountain spring water or
Yeah,
whatever,
something like that.
Yeah.
ridiculous. I agree.
Excessive.
Insane.
It
Yes.
just speaks to the privilege. And I understand influencers make a lot of money, but the people following them don't.
Right.
Most of them.
Right.
So it's just like a little bit wild to me. And like, I thought the whole point of influencers was to like influence in like a positive way.
Right.
But a lot of that is not true these days. But anyways, I just had to speak my mind, controversial or not.
I'm with it.
That's how I feel.
I love it.
I'm so with it.
What about you, Haley?
Okay. What I'm into this week, I thought about it today. I was talking to my coworker. I'm really into having something to look forward to. Like
Yes.
that week,
I love that.
I did that this week and I'm so excited. I have something I'm looking forward to on Thursday night and tomorrow night. I have like a couple friend get-togethers that I'm looking forward to. And I'm like, I'm going to do that every week. I'm going to make sure there's one thing every week, whether it's like towards the end of the week that I'm looking forward to. And that just helps the week go by faster. And I feel so much lighter now that I have like, I know I'm going to see my girls on Thursday night. I know I'm going to like spend some time with the people I like. We got to make it happen. You know, whether that's sitting at a park with your friends, go to a workout with a friend you haven't seen in a while, all the things. So anyway, everyone should make it a priority.
I agree.
That's so hope core of you.
And that's rare because these days the mundane just happens and you're just like, oh my God, another week. How is it Monday again? So now I'm trying to kind of like, we got to have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
So we're going to make that a priority every week. And then when I'm over, this might be a little controversial, but I'm over not picking up your friends and family from the airport. When did we stop doing that?
I never not like my mom's coming to town on Thursday. I'm absolutely picking her up from the airport.
Right?
I don't understand people that don't do that. That's crazy.
I don't either. It's like,
Hey mom,
so
taking Uber.
awkward.
Like what the fuck? That's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I know.
Even like shout out my friend Jamie. She always picks me up when I land at LAX because she lives in Marina. It's right there. She always offers. I'm like, I love you. But then I go to visit someone else in a different city and they're like, you're Ubering, right? I'm like, the airport is 20 minutes away from you. What do you
Yeah,
mean?
No.
Already off on a bad foot, and then not driving you there on the way back. Like, I just think that's a common courtesy when someone flies out to
Totally.
see you.
I agree.
Yeah.
Do you bring it up or do you just sweep it under the rug?
Swept under the rug.
Under the rug, huh? Yeah.
Some things are just not worth arguing over, but that just made me like, when did we stop doing that? Did I miss the memo that we like are not picking up our friends anymore or dropping them off at the airport? Like,
That's
No,
in
that's
my
always
in
been
my
a thing.
experience, that's never been a thing.
wow.
If you're flying out to I'm saying like I agree with you. Like I've
Yeah.
never not picked up, especially if they're flying to see me. Now, if they're flying into
Right.
town and just for some other reason, and
Oh, yeah.
That's different.
That's different.
Yeah.
that's different. Yeah, they might ask like, "Hey, any chance you pick me up?" You know, I might be like a little more
Maybe.
hestant. You know, especially because
Yeah.
it's just my day.
No,
but
but
yeah,
if they're coming to see you,
to see me, I'm picking their ass up, 100%.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Even when I fly back to LAX or my friend picks me up, I'm like, let's go grab a bite to eat after. I'll buy you dinner
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
picked me up from the airport. Like, make a thing out of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't understand the like, yeah, you're going to get an Uber, right? I'm like, wait, what?
No, I'm actually going to
sitting
get a
at
return
home.
flight home and I'm leaving.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, you're at home. I don't get that. Anyways, everyone pick up your friends from the airport
Yes.
Yeah.
and take them there too.
Agree with that.
I'll never
100%.
stop doing that. Okay, great.
Let's just take it to the very beginning. And you grew up in the Boston area. Was there a big music scene there? Like, what drew you to music in the beginning?
Well, what originally drew me to music was being like 7 years old in my dad's basement and seeing, I don't know if anybody knows the band MXPX, but they were like my first kind of like, I saw a music video from them called Chick Magnet, and I like the bass line in the opening songs, like, I was like immediately hooked. And I don't know why. And I have no idea, but I was just like, you know, that was in the MTV, you know, I'll be 40 in December, right? So like this was like, you know, at 7 years old then, this was like prime MTV time. And I remember just getting hooked on that song and that video, and I wanted to learn guitar. And so my dad like bought me a guitar and enrolled me in guitar lessons. And my love of music kind of started at that moment, but that was in the suburbs of Boston.
Did you start your career in music on the creative side, or did you always know that you wanted to be in the business side of things?
No, I didn't know I wanted to be in the business side of things at all. When I first started, I was full creative. So at first I think when you take guitar lessons, really you just kind of want to learn guitar.
Yeah.
But I have this, I hesitate to say I had this gift that sounds so, like, you know, like I'm bragging, but I feel like I had this ability for some reason to learn by ear. And a lot of people do just innately,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not like unique. But I was able to learn by ear. So as I played guitar and took guitar lessons, the process really was like me bringing in CDs to my guitar teacher and like learning with her. And I think as I learned with her how to play these songs, and at the time it was like Guns N' Roses and Green Day and stuff like that. These were my first CDs that I bought. I just sort of learned eventually, like I got to a place where I could go. We had boom boxes back in the day. So I would put the CD in the boom box and then just like sit there and play. You know, at first, obviously you want to learn the fundamentals and the chords and everything. But yeah, I would just kind of just play guitar in my basement. So really, my music journey started with that. It had nothing to do with the business. That didn't come till later.
I want to sort of talk about the transition into from what you were doing before the arena into creating the arena.
Yeah.
So what was like the time in your life where you decided, I want to do more for myself in music. I want to like make something of my own and start the arena. What was that process like?
So basically, I went from learning guitar to being in a band when I was in high school and just playing shows. I took it really seriously. It was almost like in a business-like manner, which had nothing to do with why I went to the business. But I took the rehearsing and the songwriting like super seriously. I wrote a lot of songs in my basement by myself. I would bring the songs to the band. I would rehearse them. And then, you know, we won a battle of the bands. But basically, that was when I was about 20. But what happened is I was sort of the de facto manager of the band. And so when it was like booking gigs, figuring out merch, all of that, I pretty much did the lion's share of it. And so I think I became addicted to taking the reins. I've kind of always had this mentality where if I don't do it, nobody else will. And
I relate.
yeah, totally, right?
That is Gavyn's role on this podcast 100%.
There you go. There you go. Well, that's why we worked really well together. For all the stuff that I was too busy to do, Gavyn just went in there and crushed it with all the admin calendars, et cetera, and all the other things he did.
Well,
but
I know my way around a calendar.
yeah, I'd like to think I know you know more than that, but I'm saying in this particular capacity, you crushed it. But anyways, going back to that, I was in like one band where I was the de facto manager. I was in another band where we had a manager, but he was kind of less hands-on. He was kind of the guy who would like have the bigger connections and, didn't really do like the grunt work, but I sort of did that. So I kind of like took that all on my own. And then this is about when I was like 22, 23. At that point, I was like, still in Boston. I was going to school and I was in these bands. And I wanted to find other bands locally to do that for. And so I would go to like the clubs. I don't know if for anybody listening, if you know the Middle East in Boston, this is actually, the Middle East was kind of an iconic venue in my sort of come up because a lot of the bands that I ended up managing at the time played there or I discovered them there. But yeah, the Middle East upstairs, for anyone who knows, I discovered, I managed a band back in the day called the Bay State. Got them some sponsorship deals eventually and like got them mini tours and I was doing the thing. And then I found a band called the Blue Pages who then became American Authors. And I was with them for 4 years. So that was kind of my like first glimmer of success, which I feel like we'll get to eventually. But
yeah,
in terms of how I started the business, it just came from wanting to find bands locally that I wanted to help out because I was passionate about music and I could help them on all fronts. And so even though, it started in my early 20s in terms of being on the business side, but the arena didn't start till about 10 years later, which we can get to.
Yeah, yeah. I totally forgot about the American Authors era of your life. I would love to hear more about that. That's definitely a crazy success of their music. I assume since you were with them before they were American Authors that you were kind of with them on the up and up of their career. Yeah. What was that like? How was their success prior to that? Were they like fairly local band? I would love to know more about, their success and sort of your role in helping them get there.
Yeah, totally. They were just a local band playing local shows, and their sound was totally different. They were like this kind of, this very kind of like, I hesitate to, it was kind of like 90s pop. That's like kind of what they started doing. It was like 90s, early 2000s pop music. And they kind of like had, very, I want to say like little outfits, but it was just a total different vibe. Anyways, they were just kind of doing that for a while, right? And then, and this is, they're an interesting case because I would say what I noticed about them, for anybody else that I've worked with that's had like a decent amount of success, the qualities are kind of the same across all the talent, which is that they really kind of, especially the singer, but they collectively as a band really kind of like dug in and figured out what they needed to do to kind of make things work, what to do to move the needle. They were really like the CEOs of their own business. And, I think the days of trying to just play the show and get off the stage and let somebody else do the rest are gone. I don't even know if they've been around at all recently. You Definitely. Really have to be cognizant about your sound and your business and what's working and what's not working. And so I would say those guys were kind of a good example of that. So Zach, the lead singer, was really good at kind of keying in on the sounds that were working. And so one band that was really starting to buzz at the time was Imagine Dragons. They had that first big like stomp clap song, and I'm never changing who I am. I forget the name of the song, but that was like
I forgot what it's called. I
Yeah,
was trying to
it's
think of it.
totally escaping me, but he kind of saw that was happening and he took that sort of sound and infused it into what the rest of the band was kind of doing and passionate about writing, or just they were kind of just writing in that direction. And he kind of like was the influence to that. And so if you take that and you combine it with the fact that I got them this production deal with this producer who had a lot of clout in the industry at the time and still does, and kind of worked to hone in the sound. They just sort of had a moment, and so that was kind of my first thing. And so I was with them for 4 years, and then what happened basically is, I didn't really have a formal agreement with them at the time, and they just kind of they got real big real quick.
Yeah.
I think if they were listening, I don't think this is, out of the realm of anything they would say, but I think there were a lot of people that were in their ears, and we eventually parted ways. I don't think it was because anybody did anything wrong. I just think, when you're a young band and there's a lot of people that are, influencing you to be pulled in a certain direction to a certain team, sometimes the original guy loses out, and so that's what happened to me. And, I was pissed off at the time for sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
But it was a growth point. It was a growth point in terms of, I learned a lot. I learned a lot in terms of like how to manage people, not just them, but like the parties around them, how to manage situations, how to put things in perspective. And, I think you really kind of make it all about the artist and just kind of cater your problem solving and your sensibilities around what makes the most sense for your client, which at the time I didn't do. I think, it was really just about what am I going to get out of this? I was passionate about it, but that's probably another conversation for another day. It's what happened.
Sure.
I start talking and like, things come out of left field. But yeah, it was a great experience, and I love the guys still to this day. But that was my first thing, and so I learned a lot from that.
Do you think that might have lit a fire under you to start your own thing after, working with other people? Hey, it didn't work out. Do you think that lit a fire under you for the reason you started the arena?
You would think so. If I'm being super honest, at the time, I was so disillusioned by that experience that I kind of took a pause. And
that makes sense.
That's fair. Yeah.
I would be lying on this podcast if I said, oh yeah, like that experience made me, lit a fire under me to start the company. It didn't right away. And I want to tell people that are listening to this, like, if you need a moment, it's okay. It's okay to take a moment. When that happened, I was about 26, and I just wanted to figure out something to make money, and I didn't feel like I got nearly commensurate to what I put into that project. So I got my real estate license and I did real estate for like 5 years.
That's right. I forgot about that. That's right.
Little detour.
It was a detour, but I was like fairly happy at the time. I joined a company that I liked in Brooklyn, and I was having a good time. I was like meeting new people. It was a hard gig to leave eventually. But a couple things happened. I didn't totally go out of music, but at least for the first couple of years there, it wasn't really number one on my radar. I just wanted to make a living. And that was kind of the priority at the time. I just wanted to make a living. So I did, and I had a decent time doing it, but I knew something was missing. So I eventually started managing other projects, but I was in New York. And what happened is everybody was leaving New York. And I was thinking about it, as I got north of 30, 31, I'm like, I'm managing this band and they're really good, but man, it's like, I don't know, I kind of, I was feeling like I needed to go for it, but also I was kind of on autopilot with my job and with this band. I was like satisfied. And this is an interesting lesson, maybe to people, which is that, if you feel like you need something more, you might be like relatively happy, but see, you probably know this feeling. There have been many songs written about this where you're like kind of happy, like things are like pretty good. And I think that's where I was. But I remember one of the agents at the office, and who knows if he'll end up hearing this and he'll raise his hand and be like, that was me. I don't remember the guy's name, but I kind of remember his face. I remember where I was sitting, And we were talking about this. I was telling him about my ambition to, kind of get out of New York and move to LA. And he's like, man, he goes, real estate's always going to be here. He's
Yeah.
like, if you do your thing and, decide it's not for you, you can always move back. He's like, real estate will always be here. But he's like, just go for it. And that was like the moment where I'm like, you know what? I had told my girlfriend at the time, I'm like, babe, we got to do this. And are you open to this? And she was down. She was down for a change too, luckily. And and then I moved out here in 2018. And that's when I was like full time. So it's, I felt like there was a time where it's like I had saved up enough money and I felt comfortable enough to take the leap. So.
Yeah.
That's when I moved out here too.
Oh, nice.
Happy 7 years.
Yeah.
Happy 7 years. What month did you move?
September. I just hit it. Yeah.
Oh, you just hit it. Nice. March for me.
Yeah.
When I first moved to LA, I joined a management company called Heart 8 Working Group. And at the time, they managed artists like Billie Eilish, Phineas, Ash.
Oh my God, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember that. When I worked at Dick Clark Productions, we would email them all the time for Billy. That's funny. Wow. You just got me, like a memory came out.
I wonder if you guys ever emailed back in your
I wonder.
previous
I
life.
don't have my Heart 8 Working Group email anymore. So, but I hope we did. But I wasn't working. Just to be clear, I didn't work with any of those artists directly. I kind of had my own roster, but that's what I was doing. So I think, half the battle with this stuff is I kind of touched on this earlier. You really want to put yourself in the position so that you can maximize the value of your skill set. And so at the time I thought, okay, if I'm going to manage artists and I'm going to just like fully go for it, it makes sense to align with a company that's like really doing it. And so they were really doing it. I mean, they had like a really legit roster. And so I kind of had my own roster within the company and I was sort of managing those artists for a while. What I realized in just sort of being in LA and just kind of, I think Steve Jobs talked about how you can connect the dots looking backwards, not forwards. I was kind of lacking creativity in managing artists because when you manage artists, a lot of their songwriting is kind of self-contained. You're not really setting up the sessions. It's a little less creative. And so as I was having these thoughts, I met my first songwriter client, David Brook. And I'll just mention him once. He's not a big like publicity guy, but I will... But
hey,
yeah,
David.
Shout
Yay.
out. Yeah. And so, so I met David and first of all, it was a very LA thing. We met like at a pool party and,
classic.
Yeah, classic. And we just kind of hit it off. He was coming off a couple of big songs and we met, I don't know, maybe like the following week. And he's like, look, he goes, I've been with my publisher for many years. I'm setting up 90% of the sessions on my own. I'm looking for somebody to come in and kind of help out. And I didn't know what that process was like, but I just kind of started. I had, at that point, I had been in LA for probably about a year. I met a bunch of teams and I was just pairing David with any cool writers and producers that I thought would be a good match. And I didn't know, I really didn't know, but I did have some relationships. And so I used those, but David likes to tell the story that that day after we met, I'm like emailing him, I'm like sending him all these emails with these ideas. And I think that's true. And I realized how much I love that process. I loved setting up the sessions. And then from there, or at the same time, he had these folder of songs and I'm like, oh, I can pitch these songs. I'm like, that's cool. And I just, from that process, I just realized that I just love that work. I love that work. And basically, that's how the arena started because when I started working with David, I realized I wanted to just work with writers and producers. The company that I was with at the time, they were amazing at what they did. They didn't super do songwriters, like just true songwriters. They had some producers and stuff, but they didn't really do songwriters. So I didn't feel like I had the infrastructure at the time I'm sure they have one now, but like at the time I didn't have the infrastructure to support what I wanted to do in my pursuit of working with songwriters and producers. And I just wanted to work with songwriters and producers. So that's how the arena started. I started my own thing, basically, on the back of that. And it was amazing timing. We started January 2020. So
that's incredible.
So yeah, it was like, we had 2 months of me diving into that and then the pandemic, which was a whole nother story for another day. But
yeah,
that's where the whole thing started from that point forward.
And not to just go into a life tangent, but it's just like in my current situation, I did not think I would be here at this age in life, going through what I'm going through medically. So it's like, you just really never know what's going to happen. And so like, I think I've gotten to a point where like, for a minute, I was like scared. I was like, okay, I'm like getting older. I'm not doing what I want to do right now. That's why like bringing back this podcast was such a huge thing for me, because I love doing it and love talking about this kind of stuff. And it just like really gives me life. But I'm like, I have time. Like I think you and I actually had this conversation, Jared. It's like, you can pick it back up whenever you want. Like it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And which is similar advice that you got from real estate guy.
I'm like, yeah.
I love that
Real
you
estate
passed
guy.
that on.
Come forward. Yeah.
So, but anyways, I'm glad that we touched on that. And I'm sure that has definitely contributed to not only your story, but like who you are today and how that affects your work ethic, I'm sure.
Yeah. Thanks, man. You know, I think ultimately it's just finding a way to do the thing that like your heart beats, you know, that really kind of gets you excited, you know, makes you feel all the emotions. You know, when I was working real estate, I felt like it was fun. Like I had a good time, but it wasn't, you know, moving the needle for me emotionally. You know, it's like what moves you, right? Like that's the thing that you got to fight for, in my opinion.
I think us as creative people, all three of us, we know that when we're in a job where there's like no passion, there's no intensity, there's no desire, it's like crawling in your skin.
Yeah.
And I bet there's people out there that are like, you know what, pays the bills, I'm cool with it, that's it. For us, I think we're like literally clawing at the bit to be able to show up to a job every day, whether it's this podcast, whether it's music, whether it's whatever it is, you're having your passion and having your desires like met is so important. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, Haley and I talk about that all the time.
All the time. We're like, we can't just be like complacent.
Yeah.
We can't do it. It just doesn't feel right. You got to at least have something in your life that makes you happy, that gives you that spark and fulfills your creative like bug that you're itching, you know?
For sure.
For example, I was having a moment before I came on where I was just like headphones in, going through songs, getting ideas, pitching them. That's my magic. Like I'm in the zone. Somebody else came into the coffee shop I was in and they like tried to start a conversation with me. I was like, ugh, I like, you know, because I was like so in the zone. You're so in it. And you know, that is like it's a weird way to put it. I look at it as like sort of swimming underwater. Kind of like it's when you're swimming underwater, you're totally like everything else is blocked out. Like the sound is blocked out. You're just kind of like in it. And I think that is a magic place to be. And for some people, that's being in the studio, producing, writing, you know, you're very present and you're at peace and you're doing the thing that's exciting to you. And unlocking that. And then the next element of that is putting yourself in a position so that your skill set is most highly utilized. That really is the magic.
While we're on the topic of your skill set, I want to give our listeners a little peek into what your life as an A&R is really like. When you say you sit down and you go through the songs and you're pitching them, placing them, whatever that is, can you summarize that for our listeners that need to know what you do on a day-to-day basis? Yeah,
definitely. So I now manage primarily songwriters and producers. I do have artists now and I'm taking on more artists, but basically the whole A&R thing really started when I transitioned from managing bands, you know, in my 20s and early 30s to really I found my first songwriter client when I was 32, and he had these songs and I was like pitching the songs. And so, you know, the A&R consulting, which, you know, we do a lot of now, came from just pitching songs from my writers, and I got pretty good at it. You know, a lot of it is, I mean, it's a lot of no's. You got to get used to a world of no's. But the A&R side, because you mentioned, A&R, really came from management. It came from like managing writers, which does, for a lot of them, involve pitching. Now, there are some managers who don't pitch. They do the deals, they kind of work in volume. It's not, pitching isn't really their thing. It just happens to be my thing because I'm a creative guy at heart. I like to hear a song and like to think of where it goes. And so my mentality when I do, and it's hard to have this mentality when you have clients that have a certain amount of songs, because there might be an artist that's looking for songs and you go through your priority pitch songs from your writer and they may not align with what you think actually will work for the artist. But if it's close, you got to try. So that's like, it's tricky, but I like to think of myself as sort of like the global A&R for all of the artists everywhere. And what I try to do when I pitch is like, I try to say, if I were the A&R, this is the song that I would have the artist take. That's kind of a synopsis as to how I got kind of on the A&R side. It really came from pitching songs on behalf of my songwriters.
Yeah. And because I know you listen to a million songs a year, what is it that you listen for in songs that you find could be potential for a cut or an artist taking the song?
Yeah. So sonically, production-wise, it varies, right? Obviously, there could be like a 130 BPM dance song, or there could be like a mid-tempo ballad or a ballad. So that all varies. But for me, it doesn't move me. And a lot of what tends to move me is like a strong vocal and a strong lyric and concept. For me personally, that's what moves me, and those are the songs that I'm most attracted to. That being said, there are some great dance records where it's a very basic vocal and they chop it up and it sounds super cool and there's this dope drop. That can totally work. But I would say broad strokes for me, it's, a great vocal structure, lyric and concept.
Yeah. I would love to talk to you about one song in particular that I know was a big thing. Even when we were working together, I think pretty much that entire time that I worked for you, you were pitching the song.
Yeah.
Not even pitching it. I think it had already like landed somewhere, but it was just getting it finalized and everything. It just like showed me how long these things can take. But there was a song called Lighter that was eventually released by 5 Seconds of Summer. David Guetta and Galantis?
Yeah. Galantis, David Guetta, 5 Seconds of Summer technically was the lineup, but you got it.
Sorry.
No. I'm not a purist. I just, sometimes the artist can get touchy about like who's for what doesn't matter.
Sure. For sure. I'm just curious about like what that process was, because I feel like that's a good example of just like kind of what you do and like a very successful result of what you do. And kind of how that came to be, how it landed with those artists. Like, was it a writing session that you put together? Like, spill the deets.
I'll spill the whole tea.
All the tea.
The whole Lighter tea. So that was a song from a session that I put together with my friend Eric, who was a co-writer on that song and had just moved to LA. Him and I had touched base when I was trying to pitch songs for Galantis. I was like trying to dig around and I was like, who's connected to Galantis? And this is way before Lighter. So this is just like how him and I connected. So shout out Eric, you know the story. I was sitting at this desk, actually, this very desk, and I was like going through Instagram. I think it was maybe during the pandemic. And I'm like, who can I pitch to that's like in the Galantis camp? Because, for anybody listening, when you're pitching your records, you can pitch to an A&R or a manager, particularly if you have a good relationship. That might work for you. But I think what's even more effective is if you find somebody kind of on the inside of the team. So it's not. So I would say, more often than not, you want to pitch to like a writer or producer who's connected with the artists or the DJ, as opposed to like the manager or the A&R for various reasons. But you'll have a better percentage if you do that way. So I was digging around looking to see who's connected to Galantis. And this guy, his name was Acoustics. It kept coming up. And ultimately his name's Eric. anyways, I just DM'd him. And so we started talking, started to like send records back and forth to each other. And then eventually he moved to LA. I think he was kind of like all over the place at one point, but eventually he moved to LA. So when he moved to LA, we were putting together sessions. So I said, why don't we do a session with him and Ben Samama and my writer, David Brook. And then I think what happened is Eric had pulled in Kyle Reynolds, who ultimately was the vocalist on the original demo, I believe. And anyway, so that was January of 2022. They wrote this song. I was like immediately moved. It started with like a little piano vocal demo, basically. And I was like, okay, I have this idea. I'm like, now, mind you, I just want to say none of us are connected to any of the artists that I'm about to mention in my idea. Like, none of us are really connected. But I had this idea. I'm like, this has to be David Guetta BTS. That was my initial thought. So the first thing I did is I went to all the teams, and this is, January-ish 2022. I went to all the other teams of all the writers, and I'm like, look, I think this is a David Guetta BTS record. Who knows who? That's essentially what I did. Who knows who? Because I knew nobody. And so one of the guys was like, I know David Guetta's publisher. So he sat out Jason Sharp. So he went to Guetta's publisher and played him the record. The publisher loved it. He was like, oh, it sounds like Love Takes Over, which was a previous Guetta record. And then that kind of like was enough interest where I could then leverage that to try to get BTS on it at first. I think that was the time where BTS was kind of going off to the military. So they were sort of like out, like they weren't really available as a feature. But we had the interest.
To the military?
Yeah. I
like
think
literally?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think they all
at that age
serve, right? Like
you do.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
The more you know.
The more you know. Exactly. And that's that on that.
And that's that on that.
So BTS was out, and I've learned not to call them boy bands. But at the time, I was thinking boy bands. Like I didn't know. I just needed a group of dudes basically to sing this song. So 5 Seconds of Summer came to mind, and they were, I think, pretty much the first artist I went to. And I just want to say for the record, because if their manager hears it, they are not a boy band, okay? They are a rock band. They are not, rock pop band. They are not a boy band. So I
got angry texts tomorrow.
I'm in trouble for that. So anyways, I just kind of went to the manager. I'm like, look, we have this record. There's some interest from the Guetta camp. What do you think? And there was some initial interest, some back and forth, but it basically took them a year to cut it. So
wow.
I'll kind of abridge the story, but basically, we're into like mid 2023 at this point. They eventually cut it, maybe mid to late 2023. So we had their vocal, and, we had sort of the Guetta camp, and there was basically from there on out, it was a challenge of like dealing with, and now we were into like Guetta's release schedule for the next year. So for 2024. So there was a combination of like, his schedule was getting crazy. There was like basically one time slot that we can make it happen for 2024, but also we needed another collab on the song just because he had all these other priority releases that were going to be his. So we had to find essentially another DJ to join. And then the very short of the story is through another connection, we were able to get Galantis on, and then Galantis and Guetta like connected on the song, and they were like, hey, we love this. We think this would be a good release for the two of us. And then we were able to finally make it happen in March of 2024. That's when the record came out. So that is kind of an abridged version of the story, but that was like 2.5 years, in terms of the span of time that it took to get all of that done. If we had a lot more time, I could sit and tell the story. If anybody hearing this is curious, you can reach out. But yeah, that's the general gist of how it came together.
Interesting.
I love like seeing how all of that works, because like even with my friends that are writers that write directly with the artists, or it's just such a crazy and ever changing world.
Yeah.
And I feel so far removed from it right now. I have like no idea what's going on. So I'm just like, it's nice to get back into it a little bit, just like talking to you and like hearing about it. And obviously I miss it very much, and we'll definitely get back into it at some point when I'm healthy.
When you're ready, I'm here. And even when you're getting treatments and things, if you just want to get your mind off of it, you want to talk music, you call me anytime.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Jared.
Of course.
Yeah. I wanted to also get to sort of the flip side of your role and what you do every day, which is also like not only A&R, but like the management side of things, which is setting up sessions, writing sessions with your songwriters, which arguably is just as important as pitching because you're facilitating the creation, really, of a lot of these songs that you will be pitching. So what do you look for when you're pairing sessions? Because I remember when I worked for you, like you were like, email this person, put them in a group and like to set up the session. I'm like, okay, but how did you think about that? Like, how did you think of these specific songwriters? Like, I'm sure some of them, they have a crew, they write consistently together, but then there were also like random pair ups and things like that. So I kind of want to know, I do know a little bit, but for the people listening, what goes in to that process?
It's a great question. Well, there's a couple things. Number one is you have to have a producer, you have to have somebody who sings, and sometimes you can just do that. Sometimes you can just do one-on-one, but more often than not, there's at least a third that can, kind of help with additional lyrics and melody. So you kind of want to have just structurally that in a room. That's number one. Number two, ideally, you really think about who can vibe. Now, there are new people that are suggested, so it's really kind of hard to get a sense as to who they are as a human and to know if they'll vibe in the room. But you kind of get a sense based on previous cuts that they've had. Have they and really, so not everybody does this. What I try and do, and there's a lot of shit that goes on during the day, right? So I try to be as thorough as I can with this when, say, for example, somebody sends me a writer that I haven't heard of and they want to work with, say, my producer. What I try to do is look at the previous songs that are releases, that they've been a part of, of writing. And I try to find a commonality among them and say, okay, is this skill set that I see in common from their previous releases something that would add value to my client who they're proposing that they should work with? So that's generally what I do. Actually, and this is an interesting example today. Somebody proposed a session with one of my producers, and they said, can we just make it a pitch session? So, a lot of times pitch sessions can work if you get really talented writers in the room and there's somebody has connections or the teams have strong connections and they can take what is hopefully a great song from a pitch session and place it for somebody else. But more often than not, that's really kind of tough. But I looked at the previous cuts of this particular writer that was pitched to me. And then there was a third person that was going to be in the room who was an artist herself. And I knew the vibe that this particular artist, this third, was going into. And I looked at the previous cuts of the writer. Now, mind you, that this other writer, their publisher, suggested a pitch session. And I'm looking at this writer's previous cuts and I'm like, this would actually be good if we focused on this artist for her project. Like I listened to some of the songs, I kind of got the vibe. And this other third that was in the room, who's also an artist, even though the session wasn't going to be for her, I'm like, this would actually be like a really good writer for this artist. So I flipped it and I said, guys, like I'm down to do this, but why don't we, instead of a pitch session, why don't we make it for this particular artist? And then everybody, I think, on the thread was down. But to answer your question, Gavyn, I think, really you want to like kind of dive into the skill set of, you want to be cognizant of the skill sets of everybody in the room. I think that's like fundamentally what I try and do when I'm putting these things together.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, just from my experience writing in rooms like forever ago, it is very important because it's like, I have explained it like it's almost like dating in a way. Like you're either going to vibe with these people or it's going to be a shit session. And you just never know until you are there. It's just such an interesting thing because people don't realize how much really goes into it on a day-to-day basis. And you are truly one of the hardest working music industry people I know. That's really nice. And Ashley Mayetta are probably up there at the top.
She's such a hard worker. Yeah, shout out Ashley.
She really is.
Okay, Jared, at the end of every show, we ask our guests, what do you wish you knew when you were starting out? And what would you like tell your younger self when you were first starting out? Maybe someone that wants to be in your shoes.
Yeah. That's a great question.
You can think about it.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Okay. This isn't very deep, but I wish I had really gone for it when I was younger. I think, what would I think I would just tell my younger self not to be so scared to take the leap. But also, this is also important. I also don't blame myself because I grew up in an environment in Boston where education and like finishing school was so in the culture. And so it was so drilled into me, like, you got to just finish school. You got to finish school, education. And I remember being like 19, 20 years old and wanting to move to New York and like intern at a record label. There's the practical issues with that, of course, but it just, I didn't have that thing in me that was like, just do it. You're going to be fine. Just that wild spirit. And so, yeah, I think I wish I had started earlier. And I'd like to think maybe I'd be in another place if I had, or not. But I would just tell my younger self to be less afraid.
I really like that.
And I think that's fair.
We do the best that we can with what we know. And we look back. And honestly, I feel like looking back, you'd tell yourself something when you were younger, but most of us wouldn't change a thing. It's just how it needed to happen.
Like you said a few minutes ago, you can't connect the dots looking forward. So you couldn't do that at the time.
Right. Full circle.
Exactly. Well said.
Well, Jared, thank you so much for being here. We seriously appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
It's a long time coming.
It has been a long time coming.
But I'm so glad we did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
My persistence led to my appearance on the show.
Yes,
literally.
It really did.
This is a living example.
I think it was more of a timing thing for all of us, but I'm happy I was able to do it. And I'm grateful that you guys had me on. I hope whoever's listening to this, finds this helpful. I really do.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again. It would have happened either way. We would have had you on at some point.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, we will see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.